information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. Hello, everybody. Glad you could join us today. I have another guest with me today. Justin Streuli is how you pronounce your last name, right, Justin? It's a kind of an interesting last name. If you check him out, you could look at the spelling and see it's a little bit challenging to mention, but he works with the North Carolina Entrepreneurship Center, and that's in Greensboro, North Carolina. So it's about an hour away from Raleigh, where I'm located. And I wanted Justin to tell us a little bit about what he does and some other projects he may have going on.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Hank. And like you said, I'm the director of the North Carolina Entrepreneurship Center. And we're actually a center located over at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. Our main focus is to serve as a bridge between campus and the entrepreneurial community in the Triad and the greater North Carolina area. So our goal is to get students off of campus and plugged into the startup community, as well as help local small businesses and entrepreneurs leverage all the great resources that we have on campus. And we do this through a number of different programs. We do a mentorship program, a monthly speaker series, a number of different conferences, something we call Entrepreneur Day, a pitch competition, and a number of different other things.
I think that's great. It's wonderful to see folks that are actually fostering people to start their own business, because I think that's becoming more and more popular. People want to create their own rules, their own guidelines, and see the fruits of their labor when they create their own business. So having that support rather than just somebody starting a business, not knowing how to operate it and then failing is important to have, such a resource in what you are doing over there.
Absolutely. The days of, getting a job and staying there for 30 years and retiring with a gold watch and a pension are over. You got to take ownership of your skills as well as your career direction. And entrepreneurship is a great way to do that, especially if you want to move up in the world to aspire and achieve the things that you want to, and as well as do the things that you want to do career-wise. Entrepreneurship is a great way to do it. And doing it in college, for the audience that I work with, college students, it's the best time to try something out. You don't have a ton of responsibilities. Your parents are likely picking up the bill for a lot of your stuff, and you're around a ton of smart people that are going to give you all sorts of different ideas and perspectives when it comes to starting a business.
Right. And I think I want to say there's nothing wrong with taking a corporate job or working for a company to get some experience. You can also start a business as a side hustle and do that on the side and see if you like it, then jump in full time and go about it that way if it flourishes. So even though we're saying, it's important to be an entrepreneur and pushing people to do that, doesn't mean you have to do that right off or do that all the time. You can do it on the side.
Oh yeah, toes first approach is the best way to get started, and getting industry experience is one of the best things to do. Go learn an industry, become an expert, and find an opportunity within a big industry. Because if you can go and learn the pain points of your customers or pain points within your business, that's where a true business opportunity is.
I think you are the perfect guest to have on for folks that are either looking to start a business or maybe they just started and they're getting their feet wet and they don't really know what to do. What I want to ask you is, what is some advice that you would provide to my listeners to help them run a business efficiently and in the best possible manner, and maybe avoid some pitfalls, whatever type of information you want to provide that you think people will like?
The traditional approach to starting a business was to sit down for a few months, write a 30-page business plan, take it to a bank, and try to get a loan to start a business. That's not the way to do things nowadays. The lean approach is the way to do it, where if you think you have a business idea or you think you have some sort of innovation, get out there and talk to people that you think would pay for your service or pay for your product, and learn if that really is something that's going to solve a pain that they have or create a gain to help them get their job done. It's called matching the value proposition with the customer segment. That's the most efficient thing that you can do, is don't waste time, doing all these different plans. Go out there and talk to customers and see if you can really learn where their pain points are. And what you're going to learn is it's different than what you originally thought. It's almost like using the scientific method. You've got this hypothesis that you think something, you think you've got this idea, you think that you're going to be able to solve a problem. How do you test that hypothesis? You get out there and talk to customers.
And once you have an idea, that's where people probably decide to say, I'm going to build a website. I'm going to just pump out information on social media. They're not really advertising yet, but they may start doing that. And I think a mistake they make is not building a foundation or a funnel. I had Jennifer Goodwin, she's with Internet Girl Friday on a previous episode. She talked about building that foundation before you even get started. So as you mentioned, doing the planning and finding your customers, finding that pain and that necessity, you're going to start attracting people to your website or through social media. And if you don't have a form on your website or a landing page or a way to collect email addresses, there's no way you can nurture them. They're not just going to buy from you just because you have the best product or service. You have to inform them and educate them about that. I guess you would agree to that?
Sure. Web pages are the new storefront. That's a great thing for entrepreneurs because it lowers the barrier to entry. You can go online, and it's gotten just so easy through a lot of these drag and drop web development websites that are out there that you could spend just an hour, and a novice could go out there. As long as you know how to run a Word document, you can go out there and create your own website just to get some sort of presence out there that you can send people to. It's honestly easier than making a business card.
Right. And how would you, I guess, recommend people obtain email addresses? What are some best practices? I preach it almost every day, but I want to see what you may have in mind.
So I've done a lot of different things when it comes to finding leads online. LinkedIn is still a great place to go, and doing some targeted searches on there to try to find some potential customers. And there's also a lot of free websites that are out there where you can find business. So typically you want to talk to the business owner if you're trying to sell to small businesses. A website, Manta, you can typically go on there and find a business owner, and typically you can find a phone number and an email address on there to find them. But still, nothing really beats joining some kind of networking group or attending events to go out there and market yourself face to face.
Right. And that seems like kind of like not offline, but that's more of going out and cultivating leads. When it comes to you driving traffic to your website and you want to obtain that information, as far as a form, I know you want the email address, but is there any other types of information that you think small business owners should be collecting other than just the email address so that they can send them emails?
When you look at a content management or a customer management system, I mean, the more data that you can collect on somebody, the better. And that's just for the sake of yourself, trying to remember something about them, when you met them, what they were interested in. So when it comes to contact that person at a later date, you can pick up kind of right where you left off. And social media is a great way to do a lot of that.
Right. And I guess don't ask for more than what you need. You don't want to ask for 20 different bits of information on a form of somebody that may not know you that intimately, because they may not want to provide that. So maybe first name, last name, possibly email address. And like you said, if you're in a niche industry, I was reading a great article this morning about a company that sells additives for coffee flavor. And they ask you, do you like coffee or do you like hot chocolate or other types of items? So what they want to do is make sure they're sending you the right message and not sending you something that's not relevant to what you consume every day.
And also, if you are looking at doing some kind of online form like you're mentioning, and you've got 20 different questions, we've all been on those kind of forms. Maybe it's a survey or something that you're filling out, and it's just too long, and you just quit halfway through, and you end up not getting the critical bits of information. So the shorter the better. Definitely focus on the most critical bits of information.
I've seen some websites ask for first name and email address. Then when you click submit, it actually goes to another page and then starts asking you more questions. So at least you have the email address and the first name. Then if the user is able to, they'll fill out the form and give you more information to help you target more. Otherwise, you still have that basic information.
Yeah, that does seem like a very smart way to go about it.
Great. So what are some challenges that you see folks having when you start talking to them about starting a business?
One of the biggest challenges that I see is a lot of people just lack the capital to go about starting it. And I'm sure you've seen this as well, is getting that initial, $1,000 to $10,000 just to create a prototype or do some sort of building to get the business off the ground is one of the most challenging things. And also a lot of people that want to start a business that may not have done it before, they just don't know what they don't know. So forming some kind of base education with learning the different parts of a business, attending a workshop or something like that can be very valuable to help educate yourself on what you don't know.
Right. And definitely there's going to be some businesses that have, lower barrier to entry or lower capital needed to start a business. But then again, those might be something that somebody's not passionate about or does not have experience in. A landscaper, somebody can buy a lawnmower and just start cutting lawns and learn as they go. They only need a few $100s for, used truck and a lawnmower. But if you wanted to become a social media expert, you can't really fake that. You have to know a little bit before you get involved. And you may have to buy, a decent laptop, for $1,000, et cetera. And then the costs start going up from there. So I guess one thing I would say is, don't just start something because there's a low cost. Find something that you want to do. Develop that plan that you were talking about earlier, that you're going to be able to provide that value. Then find a way to get that capital, whether it's through friends, family, maybe a bank if you do have good credit and you can get that. Otherwise, there might be some other opportunities out there. GoFundMe, that can help, right?
Yeah,
don't be ashamed.
Yeah, starting a business is one of the most, if not the most challenging thing that a person's going to do in their life. It's extremely, extremely hard to start a business. And if you don't do something tied to your passion, you're not going to be willing to put in the time, especially if you're doing it kind of as a side hustle or a part-time project, where you're working nights and weekends on that, you're going to choose to do other things. And if you're not willing to put in that time, you're not going to have success with it. So doing it around something that you're passionate about, that you actually enjoy, is going to more likely lead to success. I
agree. Any other thoughts for the people listening?
Take action. The most valuable resource that you have is time. So if you wait, if you keep talking about doing something, you're only wasting that valuable resource. Start something now. Go if you think you have some kind of idea, go out and find a customer that you think would pay for it and go and talk to them about it. Don't pitch your idea. Just ask them questions to learn about what their problems are, and you can feel if there's going to be a fit for your product or not.
Right. And you talked about, that time management. When it comes to running a business, you can do everything in the beginning yourself, but at some point you're going to find yourself having a lot of meetings, talking to potential customers, doing some of your advertising. The only way you're going to be able to grow at some point is delegating and finding maybe a virtual assistant to begin with, someone that you can hire for a couple hours a week just to do some of your email marketing or sending thank you cards out on your behalf. That's a great resource so that you could focus on what you need to do to drive your business and keep leads coming in, talk to your potential customers, and then thanking them for doing business with you. I would highly recommend that. And at some point, maybe hiring somebody for a few hours a week or a few hours a day locally. If you at some point have an office or a home office, having them help you physically, this way you can meet with them and plan.
Yeah, everybody's heard that term of entrepreneurs getting so busy working in their business, they don't have a chance to work on their business. So the more that you can focus on what you're great at and what your core competency is, you can outsource some of the other stuff. Accounting, maybe some marketing. There's a number of different things that when you evaluate your business, say, hey, I'm really great at this part, I'm not so great at this part, I'm going to outsource this to an expert when you have the time to do it or when you have the capital to do it.
I like that. I'm gonna quote you on that. Don't work in your business, work on your business.
And you can't give me that quote. I've heard that from a ton of different successful entrepreneurs. But it's wise advice.
Right. I definitely want to give you credit for teaching me that phrase. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So if we wanted to learn about your initiatives, what you have going on, how can we find you?
The best place to look is going to be our website, and it's just startup.uncg.edu. You're going to be able to visit that, see more information about myself, about what our center does, as well as a number of different resources that we have available. One of the things that I do is I aggregate all of the different startup and entrepreneurship events taking place across the Triad every month. And so I'll visit 20 different websites, take everything that I find and put it in one easy-to-read list. And that's just a great place to go and find ways to get involved.
I highly believe in networking, going to a lot of networking events. I went to one the other night where it was really organized around the networking and not having like a sales pitch, when you talk to people. I brought a decent amount of cards. I ran out of them, and there was just some great discussion moving around and introducing each other. And most importantly, then you later connect on LinkedIn. That was the whole premise of this meetup. I think that's important to go out and do that networking. So I encourage you to visit startup.uncg.edu, look for those meetups, and don't be afraid to go. Just put yourself out there. I know we're always talking about that on the show, is find those opportunities to get in front of people, meet with people, because you never know, even though they may not do business with you, they may recommend somebody.
Absolutely. Put yourself out there. That's how you get started.
I appreciate you being on today, and I hope to speak to you again down the road.
All right, Hank. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.